Right, first start, come on guys. Do you reckon this is going to go? Make sure it's out of gear. Oh! This is my 1968 Riley Kestrel, and in today's video I'd like to see if we can get this thing to run. Don't worry buddy, you're going to be alright. What I'd like to do this morning guys is check for voltage. We're currently getting those sparks, so what's causing that? That's where this comes in handy. It's a handy little multimeter so we can check for voltage. We'll go through the wiring loom bit by bit, just determine what's got voltage and what hasn't. Check wiring to the core, check wiring to the, or power I should say, to the alternator. Make sure that's got 12 volts. We've got a battery on there, it's a fresh battery, it's not the right one for the car, but for purposes of testing it'll do the job. So let's crack on. Right, ignition's on, I can hear the fuel pump priming, so that's doing a thing. I set the multimeter to 20 volts, which is the closest we've got on the scale on this multimeter. I'm going to set it up here so you can hopefully see what I'm doing. You see that? If you can't, tough. Wait for the car to go past. Right, first thing I'm going to do this morning is check the battery voltage, because if the batteries are dead then none of this is going to work. We have 12.82 volts, so that's healthy and it's good enough to start this car. Good times. Right, so to test the core, which you may or may not be able to see depending on where the camera's positioned, I'm going to earth out the that part of the multimeter. And have we got a voltage at the core? No, nil point. I've got the wires the wrong way round. No. Okay. So, have we got a break in the connection? No. Let's test the other end just in case. No. Have we got voltage at the alternator side of things? Yes. So the wiring loom, I don't know if you can see that, the wiring loom is obviously live because 12.8 volts are getting to the alternator. I presume that I've got a couple of disconnected wires here, but I think that's to do with the... That I'm pretty sure is the, should be for the oil sender, but that shouldn't have a voltage. No, it doesn't. Okay. So this is not the original engine, it's not the original distributor. It would have had a points distributor originally, but we've got this electronic hookup. Hang on a minute. Hang on a minute. Right. Where's this going? This should come from the wiring loom, but it's going... Ah, it's going to the distributor. Let me show you this. Hang on. Right guys, this is never going to work because there's nothing going to this distributor. You've got the so the core needs 12 volts. Now on a points distributor, on a points engine, 12 volts is fed via the what would be this wiring into the core. You then get 12 volts passing, or consuming more than the 12 volts, passing through the king lead to the centre of the distributor, which then is distributed by the rotor arm, sent up the plug leads, and you get your sparks up here. But that's dependent on 12 volts coming through this tension circuit, not the low tension circuit, the high tension circuit. But currently nothing is feeding this core. It can't do because this wiring is going directly into the ignition module. Ah, look. Either the wire's broken off or... Okay, just turn this off for a second, save the battery, because I know my battery's on the way out. I think I've got to the bottom of this, guys. On a pointer distributor setup, 12 volts is fed through what would be this wiring loom here. I don't know if you can still see it on camera. You get 12 volts fed to the core. That is then distributed through the king lead or core lead, I should say, to the centre of the distributor cap. Still with me? The rotor arm then distributes that spark to the various different contacts in the cap, which go to the leads. You get your spark, the combustion is made, boom, you have a running engine.
Ignition coil is the source of ignition energy. Its function is to step up the low voltage to the level required for inducing an electric spark in the spark plug. Ignition coil consists of a magnetic soft iron core and two insulated conducting coils known as primary and secondary windings. The primary winding consists of 200 to 300 turns with its both end connected to exterior terminals. The secondary winding consists of 21,000 turns with its one end connected to the high tension wire that goes to the distributor and the second end connected to the primary coil. Contact breaker is a mechanical device for making and breaking the primary circuit. It consists of two metal points, one fixed and the other movable. While the fixed metal point is connected to the contact breaker assembly, the movable one is connected to a spring-loaded pivot arm. The spring on this arm keeps the both metal points in contact, thereby closing the primary circuit. The pivoted arm has a heel attached in the middle, which rests on the cam, which is driven by the engine. Now, as the high point on the cam passes under the heel, the contact breaks and current flow through contact breaker stops. A condenser is connected in parallel with the contact breaker to prevent the burning of the metal points, and also helps in providing the ignition energy to secondary winding. A distributor is provided for distributing the ignition surges to individual spark plugs in the correct sequence and at correct time. It consists of a rotor in the middle and the metallic electrodes on the periphery. These metallic electrodes are directly connected to the spark plugs and are also known as ignition harness. The secondary winding of the ignition coil is connected to the rotor of this distributor, which is driven by the camshaft. As the rotor rotates, it passes the high tension current to the ignition harness, which then carries these high tension currents to the spark plugs.
Everybody got that? Good!
Right, so I think I'm no expert, but in the case of electronic ignition, the distributor has a module which needs a constant 12 volts, or it needs 12 volts at least. That would be normally provided by the ignition coil, but there's no voltage going to the coil, so it can't possibly send any, unless it's Bluetooth. By the way, that isn't a thing, I'm joking. So if there's nothing supplying voltage to the coil, how the hell is it going to provide voltage to the module? It can't. Simply can't do. So this is wired to send voltage to the distributor, but there's nothing going to the coil to send it to the distributor, so it's never going to cause a spark. So either a wire's broken off somewhere, or this wiring loom was never completed. I'll just show you one more time, guys. Look, I'm going to unplug this actually. Look. If 12 volts is coming into here, then that might have worked, but guys, if I move this out of the way a second, as it move it out of the way, I mean as in get out of the way, not just come back in my face, right? That is for the oil temperature cylinder, which of course isn't here anymore because you've now got a solid line. There's no other wire, unless it's broken down, unless it's broken off inside this wiring loom, which I severely doubt. There's nothing else here for this to connect to, so what the hell is going on? So I'm going to plug this back in. So what I'm going to do now, guys, is connect a fly lead from here directly to the battery, just for the purposes of testing. Don't worry, we're not going to fire the coil. So in theory, if that's then live, we should get voltage going that way to the module, and then hopefully, as long as the module's alright, this thing should start. So I'm going to make up a patch lead and we'll give that a go. Right, ignition's back on again, so we should now get 12 volts at the coil. Which of course we are, because it's a direct feed, so there's no reason why that shouldn't work. So in theory, guys, this should now, provide that module's okay, and there is a rotor arm in there, I've not even checked for that, and fuel is getting to the car, which we know it is because I can smell it. There's no reason why this shouldn't start. Right, first start, come on guys. Do you reckon this is going to go? Make sure it's out of gear. Oh! It went. Come on! Come on! Listen to the engine, sounds sweet as a nut. I see the carburetor needs work. Who'd have thought 12 volts would make a difference? Apart from the carburetor, which obviously needs setting up, that engine sounds sweet as a nut. There's no tapping, there's no knocking, nothing. I won't run it for too long because there's no coolant in it. And it's leaking, so let's just shut it off. That's all the edge of the detritus burning off. Let's just disconnect that so it's not live. Absolutely stoked, guys. That's just amazing. It's virtually on the button. Well, it was. Obviously that carburetor is going to want a good service. It's probably full up with stale fuel. Or jets are probably blocked, but we've got another carburetor, so I might just swap that over. Obviously we can't leave this wire live because it needs to shut off with the ignition. It can't be permanently 12 volt fed. Otherwise that'll burn out in an instant. So that needs to be wired. Possibly get that wired to the fuse box. Something that turns on and off with the ignition. But that's brilliant news. So yeah, my theory is correct. So this had no voltage going to it. I presume that's what that was for, but again, I've looked, there's no signs of any lead going up. Unless a mouse or a very large rat got in there. Don't know why I said very large rat, but unless something got in there and pinched the wire that went to that to give this 12 volts, there's no way this thing was running 5 years ago. I don't know. It's a mystery. Absolutely blown away, guys, because this has just turned the car from a very expensive garden ornament to potentially a running and driving car. Speaking of which, now we know it runs, should we put it in gear and see if it's got a clutch? Must not forget to disconnect this. Right, it's now safe. That is amazing news, guys. It runs, it drives, kind of. I really want to give this thing a decent wash, but unfortunately my outside tap froze last winter. I'm hoping the plumber's going to come out and sort that this week so we can get the pressure washer, do it inside the wheel arches, get all the ready, the mud and the rust and yeah. Gloss over that for the moment, but I think it might be a bit rustier than I'm hoping it is. No, I'm not hoping it is, you know what I mean. But that's amazing news, guys. What a transformation. There's years of detritus on this engine block. I think it's the rocker cover gasket. Now, like I said to you in the first video, it's a Metro block. Same engine, but from a later car. So what I might do is change the rocker cover over to something a bit more period correct, just to disguise that fact. And we might even put an SU carburetor on it if I can't get this one to work properly, because I did notice, I took this off yesterday, the push rod in the damper in the piston is bent. So that's not going to do carburetor things. So that needs to be looked at. I might be able to free it off, I'm not sure yet, but yeah, there's years and years of detritus that needs to be burnt off. So we might soak the engine down in TFR and then give it a jet wash. But yeah, I need to get that wiring sorted for the ignition. I think that's all this car needs. Mind you, I suppose we could just see if it's got any signs of life now. Lights, we know the horn works. But yeah, absolutely stoked, guys, that's amazing. But now to a problem I discovered yesterday. The contents of that radiator. Are you ready for this, guys? I opened this yesterday. I was not pleased with what's in there. Yeah. Well, leave it at that. What is that? I don't even want to breathe that in. It's like asparagus soup. Yeah. So radiator flush, bottom and top hoses off. We'll put a hose in there, get that thoroughly cleaned out. Give it a coolant change, give it an oil change once it's run up to temperature, once the carburetor's set and running nicely. Right. Do the lights work? Are they doing everything? Hello? Did they, I can't see, did they do anything? What about flashes? Left hand side? Oh! Wipers? What about the screen wash? Oh, now let's try the wipers again. Hey! Can't see. Oh, now that's permanently lit. Rain again. Okay. I'll stop playing. Right, so where are we at? Well, we know the car runs, we know the car drives. Lights need attention, as does the... Well, it's all going to want going through, isn't it? But what a difference 24 hours makes. We've now got a car that moves and runs. So I'm going to leave it here, guys. Thanks for watching. Sorry it's been a quick one today, but just wanted to see if I could get this car to show any signs of life. And we've achieved that, so that's good times. I need a cup of tea. Thanks for watching. I'll see you soon with some more content. Take care. Oh, you're in the way.